Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday Thought. Today, I'm going to talk about hope. Now, as in the description, if you read it, basically from the Oxford English Dictionary, it says a feeling of expectation and desire for a particular thing to happen. Also, I was really interested. I had used in, I think it was my Wednesday talk, the words hope springs eternal, or maybe I wrote that to somebody. But they also have hope against hope, hope for the best, and in hope of. So what exactly is hope? And that is that desired outcome of something. Now, interestingly, I'm going to refer back to my Wednesday talk on Norma Talks, and where I did a tarot card reading for the month of December, and I also looked at my crystal ball. Now, the symbology showed that this next week, I might have been off a little bit on the time, but it did show that the week, I felt like a week, 10 days probably maximum, that things were still pretty well as they've been. Some progress was happening, but not really necessarily. But after that, everything began to open up and move. Now, it doesn't mean like instantaneously overnight everything was going to be different or whatever, but it showed progress and it showed rebirth and it showed movement. And I love seeing movement. I in my readings and things like that, I like to see movement. If we're stuck, it doesn't augur well for futures. Anyway, then I got my crystal ball. Now, I want to say when I put the cards out, I don't know what they're going to show and say. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm always in the moment. When I read them for a question, I don't pre-read. That's it. That's what I get at that time. And I also, the crystal ball is a very clairvoyant, what would you call it? A technique. It's a clairvoyant technique. And I actually see things in the crystal ball. I put what I call my screen into the crystal ball, and there it is. I see pictures. What I looked at when I first looked in the crystal ball, and I saw this like a castleism is thought is a method in the tarot that represents a goal or a structure or things that were, and there was like this big tall tower, which I took as a castle. I mentioned as a castle, but it was really like a big tower, but there was smoke coming out. And I looked at where it was placed in my crystal ball, because to me that basically says past, present, or future. And consequently, it was kind of a little bit more in the past, but not quite totally in the present. And it was like smoke pouring from it. So I sort of thought, something is falling down, something is coming down. And then as I looked into the future part of the ball, there was this beautiful green field. And on the other side of it, which I could see very well, was all these different colored flowers. And I didn't even look again. Sometimes I'll clear the ball and look again and see what else I see. But I just didn't. I was so kind of overwhelmed from what I'd got in the reading, what I got in the crystal ball, and so I just wrapped that up. But since then, there's been other things that have gone on that I've had this feeling of hope. I felt a little depressed for a few weeks, not like massively depressed, but just kind of like getting tired of the lockdowns, the wearing the masks, and I know that at this point everything's mandated and this is what we need to do. But there's a part of me that doesn't feel free and feels like I'm being, I don't know, chastised, governed, whatever. So and this reading, this really gave me hope. And all of a sudden, and this is the interesting thing, because I want to talk about that, is that when your vibration shifts for whatever reason, then everything begins to take on a different look. All of a sudden, I went for a walk, which I need to be doing. I went, the sky cleared up and it was beautiful blue, air cool, yes. And I just began to be more invigorated about what was coming, where I was going, what I'm doing. Now, I haven't made it general knowledge, but in January, I'm scheduled to have a full knee replacement that was supposed to be this month, and it's put back a month. And I'm a little nervous about that, to be honest. And all of a sudden, I began to think, oh, you've got to get your leg muscles, because I haven't been walking very well because of my knee. you got to get your leg muscles working because you're going to have, a lot of work to do here. So that hope, that expectation that things were getting better. I listened to some astrology people, not many, but just a couple, and they also talked of change happening by the end of the this month of the year. And so to me, everything became more hopeful, more enjoy. I even made some phone calls, and I haven't been reaching out. I haven't been calling people. And I recommend you do this. One of the things I noticed when I was coming home from the movies a couple of weeks ago, I guess, that many people were putting up their Christmas lights. Felt a little early, but I can see why they had them up. And there's a grand display in my town of lights. And I went out for supper with a friend I haven't seen for a while, and I said, I'm going to take you for a little drive. And we drove around to some places that I knew were beautiful. And a friend of mine loves Christmas, has mega decorations. And it was like driving into her place with driving through this absolute canopy of lights. And that inspired me. So I got my little Christmas tree out, and today I'm going to go get a few more lights to put up and light the world. And that's what, unfortunately, sometimes we forget, that we are lights, that we have a light within us. And even though I know I'm a metaphysical teacher, I'm a metaphysical consultant, I have a reverend in front of my name, I've done all those years of studies, I, like everybody else, can still get down by what's going on. And when you have hope, you remember you are a light. And what you think and what you project is incredibly, incredibly important. So I want you to just go in deep inside, find some lights, put some lights up for Christmas, no matter what. If you have them, if you don't have them, do something. And realize that this phase that we're in will pass. Definitely will pass. It will move on, and we will once more have our lives may be different, yes, but we will move on, and we get to shine who we are. We get to do the things that are helpful for our bodies and for our friends and our communities. We will get back to doing all those things in the way that we can. So take a look around and know there is hope. There is hope of things going back. I'm going to say go back to normal. I don't know if we're going to go back to normal, whatever normal was. We'll go back to the normal that is. We'll move into, I should say, the normal that is and will be. In the meantime, have a great weekend, and thank you for listening.